There are certain stories that really never end. Not because they have a twist or something, but because they have no ending at all. And for nearly 60 years, one case in Australia lived in that exact place. A simple day at the beach, 3 children, and a disappearance so complete that even after decades of searches, suspects, and supposed sightings, there are still no answers. This is the story of the Beaumont children. On January 26, 1966, a disappearance would take place that would leave the city of Adelaide and much of the rest of Australia shocked, helpless, and searching. Not only because 3 children just vanished, but because they vanished in the middle of a normal day, in a place filled with people, and they were never seen again. John Beaumont was 9 years old only. Arna was 7, and Grant was only 4. It was Australia Day, summer, heat shimmering off the pavement, the kind of holiday where the entire world feels slower. And at around 10 in the morning, the 3 siblings left their home in Somerton Park, heading to Glenelg Beach on their own. At the time, it wasn't treated like unthinkable. It was a short trip, familiar streets, a normal day. They were not meant to be gone that long, and they were expected back by 2 p.m. Just a day out, sun, sand, water, and then home. But the afternoon dragged on. 2 o'clock came and went, and the front door never opened. At first, it's small explanations, the kind of lies the man tells you because they feel safer. Maybe they just lost track of time. Maybe they ran into friends. Or maybe they're just a little late. But then, the late becomes too late, and the silence becomes loud. The Beaumont children were actually reported missing. The police began searching the beach area, and once the search started, didn't stop. Because the most terrifying part of cases like this isn't just that time passes. It's that time is not neutral. Time doesn't sit beside you. Time actually moves against you. As investigators pieced together that day, one detail kept resurfacing. Witnesses said the children had been seen with a man. Not a child, not a group of teenagers, a grown man. And the description repeated itself in multiple statements, like an echo you cannot ignore. He was tall, they said, tanned, thin-faced, short, with light hair. What matters here, it's not the exact wording. It's that multiple people remember the same kind of figure, near the same children, around the same time. And then there was another detail, one that actually sounded small back then but felt really massive. A shopkeeper recalled that Jane buying food using a £1 note, a note that children were not believed to have when they left their home. If that's true, well, it changes the feeling of everything. Because it suggests contact, maybe a relationship, even if it was brief. Something based on trust, maybe manipulation. And once that possibility exists, a simple day at the beach just stops feeling simple. A composite case was produced by witness descriptions, later refined. The idea was straightforward. Someone is gonna know his face. And if they can name him, the case breaks open. But it just didn't. As days turned into weeks, the case stopped belonging to only one family. it became public, a shared anxiety between people. Parents all over the place, all over Australia, changed rules overnight. Children just stopped walking alone. The neighborhood felt way, way smaller. And when normal investigation didn't produce any answers, people searched for answers anywhere they could find them, even in places that weren't science, even in places that weren't evidence. In 1966, a Dutch clairvoyant was brought to Adelaide. He actually claimed the children were buried beneath a newly constructed warehouse. So, the people raised the money. Excavation was carried out, and, of course, nothing was found. No proof, no trace, just another dead end. And decades later, more searches would open. New technology with new locations, raising new hope, ground penetrating radar, excavation, and again, nothing. And another line of investigation closed. And if you're watching this and thinking, how can 3 kids just disappear from a beach town in broad daylight? Well, my friend, you're asking the same questions people were asking back since 1966. Because the most unsettling part isn't that just somebody did it, but that somebody who did it blended then back into the real world since then. And over the years, there were tips, a lot of them. Rumors, claims, sighting stories, and even sometimes letters. 2 years after the disappearance, the Beaumont parents received letters claiming to be from Jane and from a man who supposedly was looking after the children. And one letter suggested a meeting for a handover. And of course the parents went, but nobody came. And after that, another letter followed, claiming that the handover was cancelled because the detective was following them. That was cruelty disguised as hope. And later on, forensic work identified the author, the man who actually wrote the letter. And he said it was a joke. Imagine that, a family living inside of a nightmare, and someone decide to write those letters as jokes to play with their feelings. So, this would normally be the part where I start listing suspects, where I give you one name and build the whole story around it, right? But this is the Beaumont children case. It just doesn't work like that. Because over time, many suspects were suggested, investigated, and then just discarded. And without that one thing that can change everything, a confirmed identity, well, every theory stays exactly what it is, just a theory. What is known is very simple. On January 26, 1966, 3 siblings left home at around 10 a.m. for a day at the beach. They were expected back by 2 p.m., but they never did. Witnesses saw them with a man, and from that moment forward, the case became one of Australia's most enduring mysteries. And maybe the reason it still hits so hard is because it happens in daylight, in public, in a place where kids should feel safe by design, which actually forces you to admit something very uncomfortable. Sometimes the world doesn't need darkness to hide a crime. Sometimes you only need one ordinary day, and one person who looks ordinary too. And if you have your own theory about what happened, hold it for a second, because the scariest part isn't the theory, it's the possibility that the answer was always close and simply never spoken out loud.